So, if you're watching this, you probably want to go somewhere. You probably want to do something. And the reality is that when we're living life, it can be kind of complicated trying to get there. And I think that, especially when we're going through things and we'll set a goal, and obstacles and challenges and just different things will come about in our lives that make it to where it seems like those challenges confuse us. They take us to places that we never really wanted to go, and it seems as though if we don't navigate them correctly, we'll end up in a place where we never really wanted to be. But if you feel like that's you, and you feel like you're in that whirlwind of confusion, the way to remedy that is to get back to the basics. And when I say getting back to the basics, I mean a lot of the confusion and complication comes from trying to rationalize certain circumstances that you can't really control, right? But I think that the best thing you can do is to break down and remove yourself from the circumstances and from the trials that are coming your way. Take some time, take an inventory of what's occurred and how you feel, right? But then you have to ask yourself two questions. What do you want to do? And why do you want to do it? Usually when we start a goal, or when we say there's something in our minds that we want to do, we pretty much have a reason for why we want to do it, and we have a specific thing that it is that we want to do. So, like I say, the best thing that you can do when you're in that time and you're in the midst of the storm trying to figure out what's going on is to ask yourself and remind yourself of how you felt when you chose to set on that path. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I want to add to that is that as you grow as a person and the further you make it down that path, the further you endure, the answer to those questions could change. So if you do decide to go away from the goal, if you do decide to, I guess you say, change your path, make sure that you evaluate it from that same perspective. Because if your desires have changed, then maybe that's more of a valid reason. But don't change your path because you forgot why you started. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, most of the time, the path that we go down, it can become pretty confusing. I mean, it's a tough challenge. It requires patience, perseverance, endurance, and it just, things can make it to where you almost forget why or where you're even going. But if you stay the course, then you'll ultimately be the person that's necessary to achieve what it is that you're looking to do, and you'll be forged in character, which is, like I say, the ultimate prize. It's a fact. I really stand by that. I've gone through a lot of things in my life, and I realized, like, even though I didn't necessarily do things perfectly and had to have a few apologies, and there's even a couple regrets. I don't have a ton, but there are a few that, I know that I look back on and I say, man, I wish I could go back and change that. But the reality is that all my mistakes are making me who I am today. So when it gets confusing, just remember why you started. And ultimately, holding on to that, you'll be who you need to be. And you'll get to where you want to go. So, like I always say, I just want you to prosper as your soul prospers. That's all I got.